You wake up, check your bank app, and everything looks normal. Coffee charge, phone bill, streaming subscription. A buy now pay later payment you barely remember. Rent is coming. Your paycheck hits Friday. You feel safe because money is moving. That is exactly the danger. Because if your paycheck is already assigned before it arrives, you are not getting paid. You are being passed through. Money lands in your account, touches the surface for a few hours, then gets pulled away by rent, debt, fees, subscriptions, interest, and convenient automatic payments. That can kill your cash flow before you even make a bad decision. And here is why this matters. Most people think going broke happens from one reckless purchase, a luxury bag, a vacation, a bad investment. But that is not how the trap usually works. The real damage is quieter. It comes from small bills that repeat, payment dates that hit before income clears, minimum payments that feel responsible, and interest that keeps growing, while you feel like you are making progress. The Federal Reserve has reported that a large share of Americans would struggle to cover a $400 emergency without borrowing or selling something. That is not just a poverty statistic. That is a timing statistic. It means one car repair, one medical bill, one late paycheck, one overdraft, and the entire system starts closing in. So now look at your ordinary comfort differently. Autopay feels clean. Credit limits feel like breathing room. Only $19.99 a month feels harmless. Minimum payments feel like control, but each one is a small claim on your future paycheck. Stack enough of them together, and your future income is no longer yours. It is already spoken for. But here's the thing. The system is not random. Banks, lenders, apps, and retailers know exactly where your attention breaks. They know you notice a $900 purchase, but ignore $99.99 charges. They know you hate late fees more than you hate carrying debt. They know 4 easy payments feels lighter than one honest price. That is the mechanism. So this is not about shaming you for buying coffee. That is the distraction. This is about seeing the financial machine that turns normal life into permanent pressure. Once you understand where your paycheck is leaking, you stop asking, "Why am I always broke?" and start asking the only question that matters. Who already owns my next dollar? And the trap is not the thing you notice. It is not the one big purchase that makes you feel guilty for a day. It is the tiny line items sitting inside your normal life. The phone bill, the delivery fee, the subscription you forgot, the credit card minimum, the rent increase that arrived like a sentence. You call it a normal month, your bank calls it cash flow pressure. And here is why. If your paycheck lands on Friday, but your bills hit on Tuesday, you are not broke in theory. You are broke on the calendar. That gap is where overdraft fees, late fees, and credit card interest move in. Short delay, real cost. One bad week becomes a more expensive month. But here's the thing. Comfort makes this look harmless. A $12 subscription feels smaller than lunch. A $28 delivery feels like survival after work. A $70 credit card minimum feels responsible. But if the balance underneath is growing at 20% or more, that responsible payment can become a cage. You are not paying down the fire. You are paying rent to stand next to it. The data backs this up. Surveys in the US repeatedly show a huge share of adults living paycheck to paycheck, even people earning middle-class incomes. Bankrate has reported that many Americans cannot cover a $1,000 surprise expense from savings alone. That means one car repair, one rent spike, one reduced shift, and your entire financial plan starts bleeding. So now the question changes. It is not, "Can I afford this today?" That question is too weak. The real question is, if this repeats every month, what does it steal from me? Because repeated comfort becomes a system. And when your bills are automatic, but your income is fragile, the system does not need to attack you. It just waits. You think the danger starts when your bank account hits zero. It doesn't. It starts earlier on payday, when the money arrives and is already half dead. And here is why your paycheck looks like income. But for most people, it is really a checkpoint. Rent takes the first bite. Car payments take the second. Insurance, phone bills, utilities, subscriptions, food delivery, credit cards, buy now pay later plans. They all line up before you even make a decision. By the time you ask, "Can I afford this?" the system has already answered for you. That is the part people miss. The problem is not one giant stupid purchase. It is pressure. Financial pressure builds quietly, one automatic charge at a time. A $12 subscription feels harmless. A $28 lunch feels normal. A $79 small treat feels earned. But stack enough of those on top of rent, debt, and rising grocery prices, and your cash flow starts suffocating. In money terms, that means death. Not dramatic death, slow death. The kind where you are working, getting paid, and still falling behind. Modern research backs this up. The Federal Reserve has reported that a large share of adults would struggle to handle a $400 emergency without borrowing or selling something. Bankrate has found that many Americans could not cover a $1,000 surprise expense from savings alone. That means one car repair, one medical bill, one missed shift, one rent increase could kill your financial breathing room. So now, look at credit cards. This is where the trap gets uglier. The minimum payment feels like relief. It is not relief. It is pressure release for the lender, not freedom for you. If your balance sits at a high interest rate every month, you carry it forward. Your future paycheck is being drilled into before it even arrives. You are not just paying for the thing you bought. You are paying rent on your own past decisions. But here is the thing. Some people survive this not because they earn huge money, but because they stop letting comfort disguise itself as safety. They look at the bill, they track the leak, they cut the automatic charges, they build a small cash buffer before chasing lifestyle upgrades. That sounds boring until the emergency hits. Then boring becomes oxygen. The scary truth is this. Your bills are not just expenses. They are claims on your life. And if you don't decide which claims deserve to stay, the system will decide for you. So now you open your banking app, and it looks harmless. Coffee, delivery, streaming, a rideshare, a small credit card payment. Your paycheck landed 3 days ago, and somehow the balance is already bleeding out. And here is why. The danger is not one big reckless purchase. Most people are not ruined by buying a sports car overnight. They get trapped by tiny automatic leaks that feel normal, because each one is too small to scare you. But stacked together, they become a machine. A $12 subscription does not feel like a threat. A $7 coffee does not feel like a threat. A $29 buy now, pay later installment does not feel like a threat. But when your rent, phone bill, insurance, food, debt payments, and impulse spending all hit the same paycheck, your money has no time to recover. That is the part most people miss. Your income is not just money coming in. It is your oxygen supply. If every bill is scheduled to attack it the moment it arrives, you are living in a financial emergency. Even if your life looks comfortable from the outside, and the data backs this up. A large share of households earning solid salaries still report living paycheck to paycheck. Not because every single one of them is lazy, not because they all just need discipline. It is because modern spending is designed to feel painless. At the exact moment it becomes dangerous. Cards remove the sting. Autopay removes the decision. Installments shrink the visible price. Apps store your information, so buying takes one thumb tap. That means the pain shows up later when the rent is due. The credit card balance rolls over, and the interest starts feeding on you. This is the counterintuitive money mechanism. Convenience is expensive because it hides impact. When you pay cash, you feel the loss immediately. When you swipe, tap, or finance it over 4 payments, your brain does not process it the same way. The purchase feels smaller than it is. The consequence gets delayed, and delayed pain is how ordinary people walk into debt without noticing the door closing behind them. But here is the thing. The people who escape this do not always earn more first. Many of them change the order of impact. They stop letting bills ambush the paycheck. They separate fixed costs before spending starts. They move savings out first, not last. They treat credit card balances like fire. Because once interest compounds against you, your future income is already being eaten before you even earn it. Think about a person making $4,000 a month. On paper, that sounds survivable. But take out $1,600 for rent, $500 for car and insurance, $400 for groceries, $250 for utilities and phone, $300 for student loans or credit cards, $200 for subscriptions, takeout, apps, and small nothing purchases. Suddenly, the margin is gone. One emergency hits, a tire blows, a medical bill arrives. Hours get cut at work. Now there is no buffer. The credit card becomes the emergency fund. Next month, the minimum payment rises. That means less cash. Less cash means more card use. More card use means more interest. That loop can kill your financial future. Not in one dramatic moment, slowly, quietly, while you still look fine. So the real question is not, can I afford this payment? That question is a trap. The better question is, what system does this payment create? Because one payment can be harmless, 10 payments can become a cage. That is why your daily spending, your paycheck, timing, and your bills matter more than most people want to admit. They reveal whether your money is working like a shield or leaking like a wound. If your paycheck disappears before you can make a decision, you are not managing money. You are reacting to damage. And once you see that, the next move becomes obvious. Stop judging purchases by how small they feel, and start judging them by what they do to your cash flow. That line on your bill is not a mistake. It is the blade. You swipe for groceries, gas, a phone upgrade, a dinner you barely remember. Then payday arrives, and the statement looks harmless, because the bank gives you a tiny number, minimum payment due. That number feels like relief. It feels like breathing room. But here is the thing. In money terms, that comfort could kill you, because the minimum payment is not built to free you. It is built to keep the balance alive. And here's why. If you owe $5,000 on a credit card at around 22% interest, and you only pay the minimum, a huge part of your payment is not attacking the debt. It is feeding the interest. Month after month, your paycheck walks in, gets cut open, and leaves before you even touch it. That is not budgeting failure. That is a mechanism. This is why credit card debt in the US has pushed above $1 trillion. Not because every person is buying yachts, because normal people are financing normal life at emergency room interest rates. Groceries on a card, tires on a card, a medical copay on a card, one delayed paycheck, one rent increase, one surprise bill, and suddenly the safe option becomes a trap. So now look at your statement differently. The due date is not just a date. The APR is not just fine print. The minimum payment is not help. It is the price of staying wounded. Buy now, pay later works the same way, just with softer lighting. 4 payments sound painless. No interest sounds generous. But split enough little purchases across enough apps, and your future paycheck is already spoken for before it lands. That means your next month is being spent by your last month. That is the real danger, not one huge bad decision. Small cuts, clean cuts, automatic subscriptions, delivery fees, interest charges, late fees, payment plans. Each one looks manageable alone. Together, they turn your income into something you only watch pass through your account. So before you ask, can I afford the monthly payment? Ask the harder question. What part of my future paycheck am I handing over right now? Because if the answer is rent money, food money, or emergency money, that is not convenience. That is financial blood loss. You are standing in a world with no antibiotics, no microscopes, no clean hospital room. No one even has the word bacteria. You cut your leg. That is not a small problem. That is not a bad day that could kill you. Because once dirt gets into that wound, your body is in a race. It may not win. The skin swells, the flesh heats up, the smell changes, fever comes next. And in a prehistoric camp, fever is not take a pill and rest. Fever means you may not hunt, you may not walk, you may not wake up. And here is why this gets strange. Some ancient people were using ash on wounds. Ash dries tissue. It can help pull moisture away from damaged skin. And that matters because wet, open wounds are easier places for infection to spread. They may not have understood the mechanism, but they saw the result. Fire did something. Burned material did something. Dry wounds sometimes survived better than rotten ones. So now imagine that knowledge moving from one person to another, not written in a medical textbook, not explained with germ theory, just watched, remembered, repeated. This wound dried faster. That one smelled worse. This person lived. That person died. That is how survival becomes medicine. And it was not just ash. Archaeologists and historians have found evidence that ancient cultures used honey, herbs, resins, and plant oils on injuries. Today, we know some of these substances can slow bacterial growth or reduce contamination. Honey, for example, has natural antimicrobial properties. Certain plant oils contain compounds that can interfere with microbes. But they did not know any of that. They did not know microbes existed. They could not see infection crawling through flesh. They only knew the brutal outcome. Use one substance, the wound stays cleaner. Use nothing, the person may be gone by morning. That means ancient medicine was not just superstition and panic. Some of it was observation, sharpened by death. But here is the thing. The evidence gets even more direct. When you look at bones, broken bones have been found healed with shocking precision. Not just snapped and fused in a crooked mess, straight fractures. Limbs aligned well enough that the person could keep moving. That tells us something huge. Prehistoric people understood that a broken limb had to be held still. They may not have used the word immobilization, but they understood the rule. Movement makes it worse. A broken arm that keeps shifting will heal badly. A broken leg that is not supported can leave you disabled for life. And in that world, disabled often means dependent. Dependent means vulnerable. Vulnerable means death is closer. So if a fracture healed cleanly, someone had to intervene. Someone had to line it up. Someone had to bind it. Someone had to stop the injured person from using it too early. That is not random luck. That is community memory. A child sees an elder wrap a limb. Years later, that child does the same. A mistake is remembered. A better method is copied. Over generations, the camp learns. This is real Neolithic medicine, not modern medicine, not clean, not gentle, but real. And then scientists found something that makes the whole story even harder to dismiss. Some skull surgeries were not one-time events. On certain ancient skulls, there is evidence that holes were cut into the head, healed, and then later, another procedure was done. That means the person survived the first one. The bone began to grow back. The wound closed. The patient lived long enough to carry the mark, and then they came back. Think about that. You do not return for skull drilling if the first attempt was pure torture. You do not let someone open your head again, unless there is a reason powerful enough to overcome terror. So maybe it was not always punishment. Maybe for some people, it was pressure release. Maybe they had crushing headaches, seizures, head trauma, swelling, or symptoms their community could not explain but could observe. Maybe after the first procedure, the pain changed. Maybe the person stopped collapsing. Maybe the pressure eased enough that everyone remembered. Because in that world, results mattered more than theory. They did not need to know the brain's anatomy perfectly. They did not need to understand intracranial pressure the way a surgeon does now. They only needed to notice one terrible pattern. Before the hole, this person was dying. After the hole, this person lived. And if that happened even once, the story would spread, not as science, as survival, as family knowledge, as the kind of knowledge people protect, because it keeps someone's brother, mother, child, or hunter alive. That is the part that gives you chills. Ancient people were not helpless bodies waiting for modern history to begin. They were watching wounds, testing treatments, setting bones, controlling movement, repeating procedures, and passing down what worked through generations. They did not have germ theory, they had consequences. And consequences taught fast. You think you were just buying coffee, paying rent, tapping your card, clearing the phone bill, and waiting for the next paycheck to hit. But that is exactly where the danger hides. Not in one dramatic mistake, not in one luxury purchase, in the quiet rhythm of normal life. And here is why. Your paycheck does not arrive into an empty room. It walks into an ambush. Rent is already waiting. Insurance is waiting. Subscriptions are waiting. Credit card interest is waiting. Delivery fees, late fees, overdraft fees. Buy now, pay later payments. Auto renewals, all lined up like predators around a fire. You feel paid for about 12 hours. Then the money is gone, and you tell yourself next month will be different. But the mechanism is counterintuitive. The poor decision is not always spending too much. Sometimes it is letting your money move in the wrong order. If your bills get paid first, companies survive. If interest gets paid first, banks survive. If lifestyle gets paid first, your image survives. But if your future gets paid last, it may not survive at all. This is why two people can earn the same salary and live in completely different financial worlds. One gets paid, spends, reacts, then tries to save whatever is left. There is usually nothing left. The other gets paid and immediately moves money before life touches it. Emergency fund, investments, debt attack, sinking funds. Same income, different order, different outcome. That one change can decide whether a car repair is annoying or devastating. The data keeps proving it. Surveys from the Federal Reserve have repeatedly shown that a huge share of adults would struggle with a sudden $400 expense. Credit card rates in the US have climbed above 20% on many accounts. That means carrying a balance is not just inconvenient. It is a leak in the hull. You are not standing still. You are sinking while believing you are stable. So now, picture the ordinary scene. Your phone lights up, payday deposit. You feel safe? Then rent hits, a credit card minimum hits, a streaming service hits, food delivery hits, gas hits, a small installment payment hits. Each one feels harmless alone. Together, they carve your paycheck down to bone. And the creepiest part is that the system does not need you to be reckless. It only needs you to be comfortable. Comfortable enough not to check. Comfortable enough not to calculate. Comfortable enough to confuse available balance with real money. That comfort could kill your financial future. People think wealth starts with making a fortune. Most of the time, it starts earlier than that. It starts with noticing where the paycheck is bleeding, changing the order of money, and refusing to let normal bills quietly decide your life for you. You are not in danger because one bill is huge. You are in danger because 10 tiny bills learned how to hide. The coffee, the delivery fee, the phone plan you never renegotiated, the subscription you forgot, the credit card interest that looks like a number, but acts like a leak. Each one feels harmless, Each one feels modern and comfortable, but together, they do what an emergency used to do to a family. They strip away your margin. And when your margin disappears, one car repair, one medical bill, one missed paycheck can kill your finances. And here is why. Most people don't lose money in one dramatic moment. They bleed it through systems designed to feel painless. Autopay removes friction, minimum payments, delay panic. Buy now, pay later breaks, one price into pieces small enough to ignore. A paycheck comes in, the bills move first, and by the time you finally look, your money has already been assigned by someone else. That is the final judgment. If you do not audit your cash flow, your income is not really yours. So now the move is simple. Pull the last 30 days of spending. Circle every recurring charge. Mark every interest payment. Find the bills that rose without asking you. Cancel, renegotiate, or replace them. Then send the first dollars of your next paycheck to savings or high-interest debt before comfort gets a vote, because getting ahead is not about looking rich. It is about stopping the silent cuts before they decide your future for you.